Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're invisible? Like no matter what you do, people just don't take you seriously? It's frustrating, isn't it? But here's the hard truth. Respect isn't something people just hand out. You have to earn it. And if you're going about it the wrong way, you're probably spinning your wheels, wasting energy, and getting nowhere. Don't worry though, I've got your back. Today I'm sharing some shockingly simple ways to command respect from almost anyone. These aren't just tips, they're strategies that actually work. Some might make you nod in agreement, others might make you squirm, but all of them have the power to change the game for you. So let's dive in. First, let's talk about one of the biggest mistakes people make, over-explaining. You know what I mean. You say no to something, and before you know it, you're spiraling into a long-winded justification. I can't come to the party because I have to clean, and then I've got emails, and oh, my cat's been acting weird. Stop it. Stop apologizing for existing. Here's the thing. When you over-explain, you're basically saying, I don't trust my own decisions, so let me convince you to approve them. People pick up on that, and it doesn't inspire respect. It screams insecurity. I learned this the hard way. A friend once asked me to help him move. I didn't want to. I was burnt out and just needed a day for myself. But instead of simply saying no, I turned into a defense lawyer. I went on and on about why I couldn't, spinning this elaborate web of excuses. My friend finally cut me off and said, Dude, just say you don't want to. Ouch. But he was right. My over-explaining didn't make me look considerate. It made me look unsure and insincere. Here's the truth. You don't owe anyone a justification for your choices. A simple, thanks for thinking of me but I can't, is enough. Sure, it feels awkward at first, but it works. People respect honesty. More importantly, you'll start respecting yourself a whole lot more. Most of the time, people don't even care about the long explanation. They're just waiting for you to stop talking. Save your breath and your dignity. Own your choices. Stand firm in your decisions. You'll be amazed at how much more seriously people start to take you. Now, let's move on to something even bigger, your time. Listen closely. Your time is your most valuable asset. Period. Yet, so many people treat it like spare change, tossing it at anyone who asks. If you don't protect your time like it's a dragon guarding a pile of gold, people will waste it. And here's the kicker. They won't even feel bad about it. You know the type. They slide into your DMs with, hey, got a quick minute? Or corner you at work with a problem they could easily Google. The worst part? We let them. Why? Because we're afraid of being rude, or maybe because deep down we don't value our own time enough. That stops now. Protecting your time might make you unpopular. Some people will call you selfish. They'll guilt-trip you with lines like, oh, you're too busy for me now. Let them. Because here's the reality. Every time you say yes to something you don't want to do, you're saying no to yourself. That's the real disrespect. I used to be a chronic yes person. Extra shifts at work? Sure. Coffee dates I didn't want? Why not? Helping someone plan their kid's birthday party? Of course. One day I looked at my calendar and realized I had no time for myself. I was booked solid, not with things I cared about, but with other people's priorities. That was my wake-up call. From that point on, I started treating my time like money. Would you hand out $100 to every random person who asked? No? Then why would you hand out an hour of your time? It's even more valuable. You can't get it back. Every minute you give away should feel worth it. Here's how you guard your time. Set boundaries. If something isn't urgent or important, say no. Or better yet, delegate. I've become a master of saying, sounds great, can you email me about it? 9 times out of 10, they don't bother following up. problem solved. And don't feel bad about it. You're not being selfish, you're being smart. When you start protecting your time, you send a powerful message, not just to others, but to yourself. You're saying, I matter. My goals, my mental health, my peace, they come first. And here's the kicker. When you value your own time, other people start valuing it too. Funny how that works. Now, let's get into something even more uncomfortable, standing your ground. Nobody likes conflict. It makes your palms sweat, your voice shake. But here's the deal. If you don't stand your ground, people will walk all over you. And no, being nice all the time won't earn you respect. It'll make you an easy target. That's the harsh truth. Being agreeable is fine in small doses, but constantly bending over backward to avoid conflict. That's a one-way ticket to being overlooked and underestimated. People respect those who say, "This is what I believe, and I'm not backing down." Even if they don't agree with you, they'll admire your courage. But the second you fold at the first sign of pushback, you're telling people you don't even believe in yourself. So why should they? I'll never forget the time I was on a team project where I put in a ridiculous amount of work. On presentation day, the team leader tried to take all the credit. For a second, I froze. My brain screamed, "Don't cause a scene, just let it go." But then something clicked. If I didn't speak up, who would? So I stood up and said, "Actually, I'd like to share what I contributed to this project." Was it uncomfortable? Absolutely. But you know what? My boss pulled me aside afterward and said, "I respect that you spoke up." That moment changed how people saw me, not just in that room, but in my career. Standing your ground doesn't mean you'll always win. Sometimes you'll still walk away without what you wanted. But it's not about winning. It's about sending a message to others and to yourself that you're worth standing up for. The more you do it, the easier it gets. The shaky voice and sweaty palms fade. The respect you gain, that sticks. And no, standing your ground doesn't mean being rude or confrontational. It means being firm, clear, and respectful. Instead of saying, "You're wrong," try, "I see it differently. Here's my perspective." Strength and grace go hand in hand. If someone doesn't respect you after that, it's their problem, not yours. Standing up for yourself is hard, but every time you do, you reinforce your own self-worth. You're saying, "I deserve to be heard, and I'm not afraid to take up space." That's how you earn respect, not just from others, but from yourself. And that kind of respect? It's unshakable. Let's talk about follow-through. It's one of those simple, yet often overlooked things that can make or break how people see you. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Period. Sounds easy, right? But here's the kicker. Most people are great at making promises and terrible at keeping them. And you know what happens when you're all talk and no action? People stop taking you seriously. It doesn't matter how charming, talented, or well-meaning you are. If you can't follow through, you're chipping away at your credibility, one broken promise at a time. Let me be brutally honest. Consistency is the currency of respect. If you're broke in that department, don't expect people to invest in you. Think about it. We all know that one person who's always like, "Let's grab coffee soon," but you both know it's never going to happen. Don't be that person. The world is already full of people who overpromise and underdeliver. Be the rare gem who actually keeps their word. Trust me, it sets you apart. A few years ago, I worked with a team on a project. One of my colleagues, let's call him Jake, was the king of big talk. He'd say things like, "Don't worry, I've got it handled." But when deadlines rolled around, handled turned into a laundry list of excuses. The team would have to scramble to clean up his mess. Over time, we all stopped trusting him. Even when he finally did step up, no one cared. His reputation was already shot. At the same time, I found myself in a similar situation. I'd promised to handle a crucial presentation for the same project. But the night before, disaster struck. My computer crashed. Panic mode, right? I stayed up until 3 a.m., piecing everything back together. Exhausting, absolutely. But I refused to let my team down. That moment defined how they saw me. They knew that when I said I'd do something, I'd move heaven and earth to deliver. And that respect, it stuck. Here's the deeper truth. Doing what you say you'll do isn't just about how others see you. It's about how you see yourself. Every time you follow through, you reinforce your own integrity. You're telling yourself, I'm someone who can be trusted. That builds confidence, self-respect, and resilience. On the flip side, every broken promise chips away at that trust, yours and theirs. And if you can't trust yourself, why should anyone else? Now, let's be real. Life happens. Emergencies come up. Plans go sideways. When that happens, own it. Be upfront, be honest, and most importantly, don't make it a habit. Respect isn't about being perfect. It's about being accountable. And let's not confuse this with making fewer promises. It's not about saying less. It's about promising smarter. Before you commit to something, pause and ask yourself, can I realistically do this and do it well? If the answer is no, don't make the promise. A polite, I can't commit to that right now, earns more respect than a broken promise later. Keeping your word is a superpower in a world full of empty promises. When you follow through, people know they can count on you. And when they know they can count on you, they respect you. It's that simple. So the next time you make a promise, treat it like a contract with yourself. Deliver on it, no matter what. And hey, if you can't do that, at least stop saying, let's grab coffee soon, unless you actually mean it. We all know what that really means. Now, let's get into something that might sting a little, complaining. We've all done it. My job sucks. I'm so out of shape. Nobody respects me. Sound familiar? Here's the hard truth. Complaining is a choice. If you're whining about something you can fix, what you're really saying is, I'd rather stay stuck than put in the effort to change. And nothing kills respect faster than that. Don't get me wrong, venting has its place. Sometimes you need to blow off steam. But when complaining becomes your default mode, it sends a clear message, I'm powerless. And let's be honest, nobody respects someone who constantly plays the victim, especially when the solution is right in front of them. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, I was that person. I'd complain about how tired I was, how I never had time for anything, how my life felt out of control. But here's the kicker. I was staying up late binge-watching TV, scrolling my phone for hours, and saying yes to everything. I was creating the chaos I was whining about. Then one day, a friend hit me with some tough love. You don't have a time problem, they said. You have a priority problem. Ouch, but they were right. That day, I stopped complaining and started fixing. I cut out distractions, learned to say no, and got my life back on track. And you know what? People started respecting me more. Not because I had everything figured out, but because I wasn't just talking about my problems anymore. I was solving them. Here's the thing, fixing things is hard. Complaining is easy. But respect doesn't come from taking the easy route. It comes from doing the work. When you take action instead of whining, you're telling the world, I take ownership of my life. That's what earns respect. Not excuses, not pity, but action. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if I can't fix it? Fair point. Some things really are out of our control. But if you can't change it, stop wasting energy complaining about it. Focus on what you can control instead. It's a better use of your time and your sanity. Here's a little framework for you. The next time you catch yourself complaining, ask 2 questions. First, can I change this? If the answer is yes, stop talking and start planning. Second, if I can't change it, what's one thing I can do to improve my situation? Even the smallest action can shift your mindset from helpless to empowered. Complaining might feel good in the moment, but it's a dead-end road. If you want respect from others and from yourself, stop wasting time whining about problems you can fix. Channel that energy into action, because at the end of the day, respect isn't given to those who complain. It's earned by those who roll up their sleeves and get to work. Let's shift gears and talk about something that might not cross your mind as a way to earn respect: celebrating others. When was the last time you truly cheered someone on? Not just a casual good job, but really celebrated someone's success, big or small. If it's been a while, we've got a problem. Supporting others doesn't just make them feel good, it makes you someone worth respecting, and yet so many people hold back. Why? Let's get honest. Jealousy. That little voice in your head that whispers, if they're winning, I must be losing. It's an ugly feeling, but it happens to all of us. And here's the kicker. Nothing destroys respect faster than letting that bitterness show. Nobody admires a sore loser. On the flip side, when you genuinely celebrate someone else's success, you're sending two powerful messages: confidence in yourself and generosity toward others. People notice that. They see you're secure enough to lift others up without feeling smaller, and that's rare. Most people are too wrapped up in their own insecurities to even try. I'll be real with you, it's not always easy. Sometimes someone's success stings, especially if it's something you wanted for yourself. I remember back in college, a friend landed an amazing internship. It was one I'd applied for too. I was crushed. My first instinct was to distance myself, to avoid congratulating them because it felt like their win highlighted my loss. But then I thought, what kind of friend would I be if I let my jealousy ruin this moment for them? So I swallowed my pride, looked them in the eye and said, "You deserve this. I'm so happy for you." And you know what? It felt good. Not only did it strengthen our friendship, but it also changed how I saw myself. Celebrating their success didn't diminish my own potential, it expanded it. Fast forward a year, that same friend recommended me for another opportunity. Maybe it was karma, or maybe it was respect in action. Either way, it taught me a powerful lesson. Someone else's success doesn't take anything away from you. In fact, it shows you what's possible. But here's where it gets tricky. Life isn't always fair. Sometimes people will get what you feel you deserve. It's tempting to stay silent or even undermine their win. Don't. When you refuse to clap for others, people notice. It doesn't make you look strong or mysterious. It makes you look insecure. Here's the deeper truth. Celebrating others is as much about you as it is about them. When you clap for someone else, you're telling yourself, there's enough success to go around. Their moment doesn't take away from mine. That mindset is transformative. It turns jealousy into inspiration, competition into collaboration. And guess what? When it's your turn to shine, those same people will be there to cheer for you. Here's how you can start putting this into action. The next time someone shares a win, don't just nod or mumble, "Congrats." Be the first to celebrate them. Say something meaningful like, "Wow, that's amazing. I'm so happy for you." It doesn't take much effort, but it makes a huge impact. And if you catch yourself feeling petty or jealous, use that as a sign to check in with yourself. Ask, why does this bother me? 9 times out of 10, it's your own insecurities talking. Address those, and you'll not only gain more respect, you'll gain more peace of mind. Being the first to clap isn't just a nice gesture, it's a power move. It shows confidence, generosity, and emotional intelligence. These are the traits people respect, not just for what you achieve, but for who you are. And let's face it, Life is too short to sit on the sidelines. Celebrate others now, and when your moment comes, you'll have a whole crowd cheering you on. Now let's talk about standing up for others. It's one of the fastest ways to earn respect, yet so many people shy away from it. Why? Because it's uncomfortable, it's risky, and let's be honest, it's easier to stay quiet and blend in with the crowd. But here's the thing, if you're not willing to stand up for someone when it counts, don't expect anyone to stand up for you when it's your turn. Respect isn't built when it's convenient. It's built when it's hard. Most people avoid stepping in because they're scared of judgment, backlash, or rocking the boat. But here's the kicker. The crowd rarely remembers who stayed quiet. They always remember the person who spoke up, the one who said, "This isn't right." That's the person who earns respect, not because they had all the answers, but because they had the guts to act. A few years ago, I found myself in a situation that still sticks with me. During a meeting, a colleague was being unfairly criticized. The entire room seemed to gang up on them, and it was brutal. I knew this person. They were hard-working, honest, and didn't deserve the treatment they were getting. But what did I do? Nothing. I sat there, staring at the table, hoping the moment would pass. It did, but the guilt stayed with me. I kept replaying that scene in my head, thinking, why didn't I say something? Why didn't I back them up? That moment was a wake-up call. Fast forward a year, I found myself in a similar situation. This time I spoke up. I said, "I think we're being unfair here. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture." The room went silent. It was awkward, but later that same colleague came up to me and said, "Thank you for having my back." That changed everything. It wasn't about being a hero. It was about doing the right thing, even when it was uncomfortable. Standing up for others isn't always easy, and it won't always make you popular. You might ruffle feathers, lose friends, or even face backlash. But here's the deal. Respect isn't about being liked. It's about being trusted. It's about being the kind of person who does what's right, not what's easy. And let's be real. If someone loses respect for you because you stood up for someone else, that says more about them than it does about you. Here's the deeper truth. Standing up for others is a reflection of your character. When you defend someone who can't defend themselves, you're saying, "I see your worth, even if no one else does." That's powerful. At the end of the day, respect isn't about your title, talent, or accomplishments. It's about how you treat people, especially when the stakes are high. You don't have to jump into every fight or play the hero in every situation. But when you see someone being mistreated, ask yourself, if I don't speak up, who will? Because when you stand up for others, you're not just earning their respect, you're earning your own. And that, my friends, is priceless. Let's dig into something that really defines how people perceive you, your ability to stay calm under pressure. Picture this. Chaos is erupting all around you. Everyone's losing their cool, pointing fingers, scrambling to react. And there you are, calm, collected, unfazed. That's the kind of presence that commands respect. But staying calm, it's easier said than done, right? Especially when emotions are high and the pressure feels unbearable. Here's the truth. Staying calm isn't about ignoring your emotions or pretending nothing bothers you. It's about managing your response. It's about choosing logic over impulse, clarity over chaos. People respect those who can keep their heads when everyone else is losing theirs because it shows strength, control, and confidence. I learned this the hard way during a high-stakes project at work. A major deadline was looming, and everything that could go wrong was going wrong. The team was in panic mode, arguing about whose fault it was and what to do next. I could feel the tension rising in me, that urge to snap or just walk away. But instead, I took a deep breath and said, Let's pause for a second. What's the most critical thing we need to address right now? That one question shifted the energy in the room. It stopped the blame game and got everyone focused on solutions. Afterward, a co-worker came up to me and said, "I don't know how you stayed so calm back there. That really helped." The funny thing is, I didn't feel calm. But by choosing to act calm, I was able to influence the situation positively. That's the secret. It's not about never feeling stressed. It's about not letting stress dictate your actions. Staying calm is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. Start small. The next time someone cuts you off in traffic or sends a passive-aggressive email, pause. Instead of reacting immediately, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to stay composed in bigger, more intense situations. Time, it's not. Here's a trick that works wonders. Control your breathing. It sounds basic, but when you're stressed, your body goes into fight or flight mode. Your heart races, your breathing gets shallow, and your mind starts spinning. By focusing on slow, deep breaths, you signal to your brain that you're not in danger. It calms your nervous system and gives you the clarity to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. And let's not forget the power of perspective. When something goes wrong, it's easy to feel like the world is ending. But take a step back. Ask yourself, will this matter a week from now, a month, a year? Most of the time the answer is no. Keeping this perspective helps you stay grounded even in the face of challenges. But staying calm isn't just about managing your own emotions, it's about influencing others. When you're the calm one in the room, people look to you for guidance. They see you as someone who can handle pressure, someone they can trust. That's a powerful way to earn respect. So, the next time you're faced with chaos, remember, your calm is your superpower. Use it wisely. Now let's talk about authenticity. If you want people to respect you, you have to be real. Sounds obvious, right? But in a world where everyone's trying to fit in, authenticity is surprisingly rare. Too often, we bend ourselves to match what we think others want, laughing at jokes we don't find funny, agreeing with opinions we don't believe in, hiding parts of ourselves we fear won't be accepted. But here's the catch. People can sense when you're not being genuine. And if you're not true to yourself, how can you expect others to truly respect you? Authenticity isn't about oversharing or wearing your heart on your sleeve all the time. It's about alignment, making sure your words, actions, and values match up. It's about owning who you are, flaws and all, and being okay with the fact that not everyone will like you. Because guess what? Not everyone has to. Let me tell you about a time when I wasn't authentic. Early in my career, I worked at a company where everyone was obsessed with being overly formal. Suits, jargon, the whole 9 yards. I wanted to fit in, so I forced myself into that mold, even though it wasn't me. I hated it. I felt stiff, out of place, and disconnected. Then one day, during a brainstorming session, I decided to just be myself. I cracked a joke, spoke plainly, and shared an idea without trying to sound overly polished. To my surprise, the room lit up. People laughed, engaged, and actually appreciated my input. That's when it hit me. People respond to authenticity because it's refreshing. It's real. From that day forward, I stopped trying to be someone I wasn't. And you know what? Not everyone liked it, but the ones who did, they respected me more. Because authenticity isn't about pleasing everyone, it's about finding your people, the ones who value you for who you truly are. Here's the thing. Being authentic takes courage. It's not easy to show up as your full self, especially when you fear judgment or rejection. But the reward is worth it. When you're authentic, you attract genuine connections, you build trust, and trust is the foundation of respect. So, How do you cultivate authenticity? Start by getting clear on your values. What matters most to you? What do you stand for? Once you know that, let those values guide your actions. Be consistent. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And don't be afraid to show vulnerability. Being real doesn't mean being perfect. It means being human. People respect that. Remember, authenticity isn't a one-time thing. It's a daily practice. It's choosing to be yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. And the more you do it, the more respect you'll earn, not just from others, but from yourself. Finally, let's tackle a big one: forgiveness. It's one of the hardest things to do, but also one of the most powerful. Holding on to grudges might feel satisfying in the moment, but over time, it eats away at you. It drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and keeps you stuck in the past. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is freeing. It's not about condoning what happened or letting someone off the hook. It's about letting go of the hold it has on you. When you forgive, you show strength. You show that you're not controlled by anger or resentment, and people respect that. They see you as someone who can rise above, someone who values peace over pettiness. Forgiveness isn't easy, and it doesn't happen overnight. But when you choose to forgive, you're choosing growth, you're choosing freedom, and that, my friend, is one of the most respectable choices you can make. Let's wrap this up by talking about a skill that ties everything together: consistency. If there's one thing that can make or break how others see you, it's this. People respect those who show up the same way, day in and day out. It's not about perfection, it's about reliability. Being consistent means you're someone people can count on, whether it's following through on promises, maintaining your values, or simply being present when it matters. Think about the most respected people in your life. Chances are they aren't flashy or dramatic. They're steady. They're dependable. You know where they stand, and you know they'll show up. That kind of consistency builds trust, and trust is the foundation of respect. But here's the catch. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's not about big, attention-grabbing moments. It's about the little things: being punctual, keeping your word, treating people with respect, even when no one's watching. It's about doing the right thing, even when it's inconvenient or unnoticed. Over time, those small, consistent actions add up to something powerful. Let me share a story. There was a colleague of mine, let's call her Emma, who wasn't the loudest or most charismatic person in the room, but she was consistent. She always delivered on her commitments, treated everyone with kindness, and stayed calm under pressure. At first, people overlooked her. She wasn't flashy, so she didn't stand out. But as time went on, everyone began to see her as the go-to person. Why? Because she never let anyone down. Her consistency earned her respect in a way no grand gesture ever could. Here's the deeper truth. Consistency isn't just about earning respect from others. It's about building respect for yourself. Every time you follow through, stay true to your values, or show up with integrity, you reinforce your own sense of self-worth. You prove to yourself that you're capable, reliable, and strong. So how do you cultivate consistency? Start small, focus on the basics, keep your promises, show up on time, and be honest in your actions. Don't overcommit. It's better to do a few things well than to spread yourself too thin. And most importantly, be patient. Consistency takes time. It's not about quick wins. It's about building a legacy. As we bring this to a close, remember this: respect isn't something you demand. It's something you earn. It's in the way you carry yourself, the boundaries you set, the actions you take, and the values you uphold. It's in how you show up for yourself and for others, even when it's hard. Life isn't about being perfect or pleasing everyone. It's about being real, staying true to your values, and showing up with integrity. Because at the end of the day, respect isn't just what others give you, it's what you give yourself. So go out there, be consistent, be courageous, and most importantly, be you.